Look, look, look.
Look. Look.
Here, here,
Yeah.
here.
Okay, excuse the state of me, just walk the dogs, and it's lovely and warm today, so can't complain. Now, just a quick note about teaching your high frequency words, your common exception words, your tricky words, whatever you want to call them. We're talking about the words that have correspondences that the children have not yet learnt in their phonics or are never going to learn because the core code doesn't teach it. So this is my core code, Speech Stamp Inspiration Australia. I am not delivering training or anything like that at the moment because I'm doing my doctorate in England and I cannot support people in Australia whilst I'm not there. But I will be back as Dr. Emma. So I will be carrying on. But for now, thank you for those of you who are carrying on. You're doing a brilliant job. Do you really need me? But I need to talk to you today about synthetic phonics programs in Australia and also England that are teaching high frequency words alongside the code. So it's like they've got a phonics program and they're saying, right, alongside SATPIN, let's say, your SATPIN, we're going to teach these high frequency words. Alongside this grapheme phase, whatever else, we're going to teach these. It is nuts. Don't know who sort of started it off. I think perhaps Letters and Sounds in the UK. But whoever started it off, it's as if they have not, it's as if they think that the program that the children are learning in class is the only way that they're learning to read and spell. And they're forgetting the fact that the children then have to go out into the real world, into the classroom, to write whatever they want to write and also to see texts that are not decodable because those texts that are in whatever else they're doing in the day do not align with whatever grapheme order the children are learning. So if it was a program that was to teach children things and they didn't have to read and write and spell and whatever else the rest of the day, I could kind of understand it. But whoever did it in the first place, please separate them. So you've got your core code, and remember this is just to kickstart self-teaching because most of learning to read is implicit learning, not explicit teaching. And that's settled science. So the core code is to kickstart self-teaching. And at the moment, because of the way, so it's not the phonics, that's why we set up Phonics Reform England, so that phonics works for every child. At the moment, the phonics is not working for at least 1 in 5 children from the very, very beginning. So one of the things you can do, and it isn't in the reforms, the 6 reforms, but perhaps should have been, is separate out, please, your explicit phonics instruction with your sight words done differently because we're not teaching them as whole words to memorize whatever else, but we're recognizing that the whole point of doing this is so that they are self-teaching and so that they are working towards orthographic mapping where you do recognize them by sight, on sight. You recognize the words so quickly, but it's not that you've memorized them, it's that your brain doesn't have to do the work of decoding and whatever because it's already done it. It's stored, recognize the word straight away, frees up cognitive resources so that you can understand what all the words are and whatever else. But also the self-teaching phase is when they learn that, CUT might be cut, but the self-teaching is where they learn that PUT isn't put, it's put. But we can boost that, and we must boost that with the high frequency words. So you've got because of being able to read and spell throughout the day, yes, you've got your core code, but this is really about concepts. This isn't, this is only a fraction of these are commonly used correspondences. But if you learn the A in ant, it's not going to help you with the A in ANY, where it changes to any. So that's why in our high frequency words, we not only show which letters are the graphemes, we also show the sound value with the phonemes.
N-E, N-E.
So in any, the A represents the air sound, so the air monster phoneme would be on there. In ant, it's the A, or if you're in Australia, the child might go, I say ant, so actually I want the air sound on the whatever else. So the phonemes allow for accent variations and allow you to change them around and talk about the fact that the grapheme to phoneme correspondence might change depending on accent. So we've got the grapheme, A, the phoneme, whatever the sound is. So if it's ant, the grapheme might be A, the phoneme might be air, ant, or if you're New Zealand, perhaps ent or whatever. So when we're teaching grapheme to phoneme correspondences, we have to think about whose P, whose pronunciation, whose phoneme. But anyway, when you're teaching this explicit phonics and explicit code mapping, word mapping phase to boost the children to get to the self-teaching phase so that their brains can take over and, whatever. Let's separate them out. So there's 400. So what our children do in reception prep, over 90% are capable of mastering the whole of the core code before they enter year one. If the admin allow the teachers to allow the teachers to actually do the routines and whatever, so that it's self-paced, so that every child is there working through their own pace, and facilitating all the activity that we do so that it just speeds it up. If not, if it's whole class instruction, you're going to spend 2 years for the children going through all of this. And even then, some children haven't mastered certain things. Some children were ready to whiz, whatever. That's what Mark Seidenberg's been talking about. So it's about making phonics work for every child. Some children only need a little bit of explicit because they can go into self-teaching. Some children need a lot more. But the children who need a lot more at the moment aren't getting what they need. And the children who are ready to whiz aren't getting what they need. So it's kind of, as always, the research shows average stuff. And so we tend to then apply average stuff in the classroom. And let's not go with average. I'm not average, you're not average. So the reception children in the schools that I support, over 90% can pass the phonics screening check before they enter year one, because they are confident with these graphemes to phoneme correspondences, whether in their accent or not. But they also go through 400 high frequency words that are split into 7 duck levels. So all of the first 100 words, whether it's fry, dulce, anything at all, they're all obviously covered. But what matters is that they learn them really quickly and easily. So we'll start off with, let me just get you to duck level 1. So duck level 1, you might have the, I, and, is, whatever. So here, for the children, that might be decodable once they have learnt the D can represent the D in the purple code level, but until then it's not. So A and D is a word that might be a high frequency word that is not decodable yet to them because they're only here, but it is going to be. Whereas when we've got a word like was, the A is never going to be taught as the representation for R. Or for air, like any and whatever. So the letter A can represent at least 9, 10 different sounds. So in your phonics instruction, you'll only see it once, perhaps twice, maybe 3 times if you're lucky, throughout the whole of the explicit phonics time. So when they're looking at was, they've got to see here that the S represents Z, whereas in here, the S represents the S, like in the green card level, like sip. So we're showing, let me show you was. So is, on, was, so. So here we're going to show, so the black, grey shows where the graphemes start and end. So was. So here we've got s, and there's the little phoneme for s. Here's z, so the phoneme for z. So it shows the children, here's the grapheme, here's the sound value, and they learn the phonemes as all of them. A phoneme for every speech sound, that's all of them. That's every sound of English that we use when we're teaching phonics. So they learn all of those with a 2-minute monster video in about 2 weeks. And they are obsessed with them. So it means that when they're looking at these, they're not looking at these squiggles thinking, oh, I don't know what that is. They're thinking two, okay, two. Oh, look, so here, these 2 letters represent the same sound as here. So we're giving the brain more, we're showing the code. So there's less explicit teaching needed from the start. But what I'm doing is I'm analysing every synthetic phonics program, or any program that is used wisely across Australia. So you might have a program that is not validated in England, like Initialite or other programs. I am basically going through all of those programs, picking out at least the first 100 high frequency words, having a look when they teach them and how they teach them. But what I've basically seen is, I mean, one that I looked at yesterday, oh my goodness me, it was awful. Won't mention who it was. It was awful. Trying to explain where the high frequency words from letters and sounds fit in with their sequence. It's like the person who designed this program has never actually taught a class of 25 5-year-olds. So it was just mind-boggling. And I was trying to look at, okay, well, where's the first 100 high frequency words and letters and sounds program? Here they are. Where are you saying they are in your program? And it was just so confusing. It was just, I had to, yeah, I had a headache after looking at it. But basically, what I'm doing is going through all the programs, looking at their 100, the order, because if I can then create a resource of at least the first 100 resources, so a video that goes through, shows them the graphemes that, you know, so, as says what Oz was, whatever, so the children can watch it, they can see which letters are the graphemes, they can hear the sounds. There's nothing debatable about that. It's the English pronunciation code, which is what the phonics programs use. So I am just creating a resource that aligns with any phonics program. All I'm doing is making it easier for teachers and parents by saying, look, for all the rambling that they're going on about and whatever else, here's your first high frequency 100 high frequency words. And regardless of their phonics programs or their books or whatever they're introducing, throughout the day, those children are going to need those words, whether they're writing, whether they're looking at other texts. So forget the program and whatever else. Let's look at the rest of the day, the other 95% of the day. They're going to need those high frequency words, because those high frequency words, that is, on, one, whatever, you know, make up so much of the words that they need to write and the words they need to read. And not just that, as soon as we show them those, so we show them those patterns, it helps the brain self-teach. So if their children are having to wait to look at walls or whatever till turn 3 of whatever, they're not looking at that pattern and seeing the what Oz was. So when they look at want, or all the other words, what, all the other words that have the A as the O sound, you're not giving them that opportunity to look at it and use self-teaching and set for variability and all of that stuff. You're stopping them because you're saying, here is the program, follow it with fidelity. And then that poor teacher is following it and saying, yeah, but my child's got to write, I want to go to the shops. How am I going to do that? Now, some of the programs, one I looked at yesterday said, just tell them what the sounds are. And that's fine. If you haven't got it in your program, you're just saying, when the high frequency words come up, just give them the sounds and presumably tell them which letters go together. But supposing the teacher isn't sure about that, you know, on my doctoral research is about the fact that teachers are really not sure of where they're supposed to split the graphemes. What sounds? Is it my sounds? Is it the phonics program sounds? Is it the child sounds? Is it, how do I do it? How, you know, if it's a high frequency word that comes up, you know, and I hear teachers go is, you know, and they don't recognize that they're not giving the right sound. So you need, with the 100 high frequency words, I want to make sure that parents and teachers are giving the children what the child's brain. So I will create the stuff that helps children's brains move into self-teaching mode really, really quickly. So I will take out the 100 words in the order so that the child actually is sort of aligning with what they're doing in their phonics program. I will take those 100 out so that it is in that order, so that the parents and the teachers feel a bit better, because at least it aligns with the program. But I'm doing that from every program. So if I come to a program and you're especially your child is using a certain program to school and I haven't done it, can you just send me their program? Because they should, for transparency, be showing the grapheme to phoneme correspondences like we do, you know, that shows the grapheme to phoneme correspondences in your core code. They should be showing you the list of high frequency words that they use and what have you, even if it's all jumbled in with the phonics instruction and you know, and they should be making it really clear what they're testing. So we're testing our children at the end of reception to check all of these grapheme to phoneme correspondences. But it's not just that, it's can they write them, can they form them correctly? So when they do the A, are they going, you know, or you know, it doesn't matter if it looks good. What matters is if we want them to be able to write quickly and easily as they move forward, they need to start at the right place and whatever. So we're checking letter formation, we're checking can they read those words in sentences, and then that means also that in that we've got a few high frequency words that they look at the beginning. But it means that we're testing, you know, can they recognize them? And also, if I say, give me the A in ant, I know you say ant, but what would the picture of the sound be for that first sound in ant? What would it be? And they're going to write an A, even though it represents A in there if they say ant, or A if they say ant, like me. It's funny, my son has an Aussie accent still, because obviously we're back, but, you know, he's still Aussie really, and he'll still go pen, and I'll go, no, it's not a pen, it's a pan. But again, I'm thinking in my brain, his P is different than mine. So even in your house, you can have a different P, a different pronunciation code. Grapheme to phoneme correspondences, the phoneme, the pronunciation code might be different. So anyway, so we're ticking off, can they form it? Can they recognize it? You know, can they blend them in sentences? If we give them the word, can they do it the other way around? Can they, and we've done this for over 10 years. You know, if I give them a word, can they duck-hand it to segment it? If I give them the sounds, can they blend it? So phonemic awareness separate to the phonics, and also comprehension as well. You know, we're checking on the sentences. And also phonological working memory, but we're checking on the sentences, you know, which is the king sentence. So which is the one that makes more sense. So it's not just decoding, it's comprehension and fluency right from the very beginning. But this is just your core code. This is just your basic phonics. That is to kickstart self-teaching. So this is why I need teachers that I'm supporting to get over 90% of the children to be passing the phonics screen check before the end of a section, because we've got so much work to do. The brain has so much work to do with self-teaching, and you can't possibly do it as a whole class, because once you're in the self-teaching phase, that's the whole point, is that they are learning, they're reading different texts, they're exploring different things, learning different things. So that's the stage where we need to be doing lots of reading texts, and we need to make sure that actually they can. And anyway, I'm going off a little bit. So when I'm doing this Speedie Sight Word project, I'm going to take every program I possibly can, every phonics program, not just the 45 validated in England, take their 100 high frequency words out, create a resource for you, a downloadable printable, so that you can print off the mapped, showing the letters. I won't put the phonemes on, don't want to scare you, you know, school or whatever. But even though it's so much easier, because the child can go straight away, oh, that's the sound, you know, so you can turn it over and they can't see it, but then you could turn it over and say, oh, you know, was, when they're going what ass, they can turn it over, oh, was. So I won't put the phonemes on, just because, as I say, a lot of adults, that's the trouble. Children get it because it's giving them the information they were missing. Adults don't, because they can already read and they're thinking, why can't the child work out that it's was or whatever? Or the teacher will go, well, I have got to teach all these rules and this floss this and whatever else. And it's like, oh my goodness me, just show the code. Stop talking and explaining. Just, you know, if the child is there and they can't work out what that word is, ta, you know, it's just on its own. Ta, what's ta? Ta, you know, but they can just go, two, straight away. No help, no, don't need to ask you, don't need to stop and show that they don't know what the word is, whatever else, and don't need to ask what the whole word is. But if they do ask what the whole word is, and the person next to them says, oh, it's two, they'll go, oh, because it's two, because their brains know they've got to do it the other way around. So, you know, print to speech. But if you look at that word and tell them what it is, you can then go speech to speech. But anyway, so I will be back, guys, to Australia when I have my doctorate. We will then carry on with the speech Olympics approach, because we have to show that we have to show that we have to have an approach that gives the children enough explicit that they need, so they can move into self-teaching. All the programs at the moment that you have are all about this mad explicit instruction. The whole class has to go through it at the same pace. You know, it's just mad. So we'll look back at this in 10 years and go, God, how do we expect, you know, every child to read with that sort of a system? So we're going to change it together. But for now, I can at least make sure that parents and teachers have access, so that the children have access to the first 100 high frequency words, because those words really, really matter. I'll speak to you soon. Toodaloo. Oh. So used to talking to the children. See you again soon. Toodaloo. Bye. Okay.
Look. Here. Here. I. In. We.